as of Tuesday, when we could see it coming, and then immediately once daylight hit on Wednesday, you could see that it was an unusual system coming through. Had winds recorded of around 100 miles an hour coming into Gary. So the straight line winds across a broad width like that, it was amazing the damage there. Noticed it in Hobart, and as we went up to the Hammond Fire Station, it was clear that this was a different kind of weather event, and the Adjutant General with the National Guard was there as well. And on the spot, I mobilized them into action. Basically, their wind, broad width of it, Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties. And then as it shifted to the southeast, it kind of lightened up a bit, but still miscellaneous damage, and then decided to drop an ocean of water over about 4 counties that would feed into the east or the west fork of the White River, and that's what we're dealing with now. So been 5 fatalities recorded over that stretch of time, and Jonathan may have more details on it. But from daylight on Wednesday morning, I just want to give great credit to the agencies involved, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, Department of Natural Resources, State Police, Department of Corrections. All hands were on deck. We're still, as people are surprised, even though they didn't get the heavy rain, as it moves through places like Anderson and Indianapolis, there are going to be displacements. It's going to impact homes insured, underinsured, and not insured. So those will all be different elements of what we will do as a state. And I just hung up with the president about 15 minutes ago. They're in the process of galvanizing FEMA to do a declaration, which then speeds up that process. And that doesn't really happen very often. It would take something like of the magnitude of what happened down in North Carolina a few years ago. And for Indiana, this is about as widespread of a weather issue we've had in years. So, but all of our agencies are there. We had a Black Hawk helicopter actually on call in case we needed it for rescue or surveillance, and hopefully the forecast, which shows we may get more rain, lightens up on us. But here going forward, we'll be fully deployed until we get through all the effects of what's been a significant weather event. Questions?
Governor, when you talked to the president, you related to him what you personally had seen. You put eyeballs on him. What was his verbal reaction?
His reaction was that when they do this next kind of declaration, that it takes a really special kind of weather event where it's kind of comprehensive. A tornado, which affects maybe a county or two, if it's not a really large one, generally doesn't muster that kind of help. And here we had our state office holders, our folks in Congress all weighing in, and generally that could take 4 to 5 days, and we got that expedited where, like I say, I just spoke to him a little bit ago.
Did the president indicate if he had seen any of the news coverage of the flooding?
Yeah, the news coverage has been national. If you've been on any national news, Weather Channel especially, it's talking about the hurricane down that's going to probably skim across Hawaii and then flooding in Indiana. So,
Governor, we've got now several widely spaced disaster areas. We're still recovering in Northwest Indiana. We've got the sites in Delaware County, Cambridge City, that sort of thing. Now we're dealing with this. Any concerns that that's going to hamstring efforts to respond in any one particular area?
No, I think we're as well prepared. And when I think our state government was reorganized very definedly into these responsibilities as a secretary. You got to imagine before we were a governor and a chief of staff and then agency heads. This has made a difference, and it's enabled me to be able to respond to a lot of stuff quickly. And resource-wise, we're probably in the best shape we've ever been in as a state. I've talked about that recently. So it puts us in a good spot. We just need to make sure that when you do have that issue locally, your first contact's probably going to be with your local officials. first responders, and then we're in contact with them, and we're watching this from the moment it occurred. So I think all hands have been on deck, and resource-wise, we're in good shape.
Are you pre-positioning resources farther downstream as this stuff works its way out of Marion County?
So as you get into where the White River goes after it passes maybe Martinsville, pretty rural, there'll be a lot of cropland impacted. If you don't have levees to protect you there, thank goodness the crops are nearing maturity. Corn, unless it just gets flooded and knocked over, and then that would be dealt with probably through crop insurance. So your big issues here are when you're near a population center in Indianapolis, Anderson, probably the two impacted most by the waters from upstream. If you just had 3 or 4 inches, you wouldn't be seeing what you're seeing in Anderson or Indianapolis, but you had 10 to 12 inches in places, and as it moves down and you get more rain to boot, that's where you get into a situation like this.
Governor, when it comes to rebuilding and sort of getting Indiana back on track, will local governments have the resources that they need to get all this done, particularly in the wake of the most recent suspension of the gas tax?
Yes, because the suspension of the gas tax, so hasn't impacted locals in any way because they're going to be completely replenished. States coffers as well. And if you didn't hear it, our Indiana Department of Transportation built in 2 days a permanent fix on 125 feet of I-70 gone. So that is fast response. Resources are good. And when you've got rainy day funds and a surplus due to the fact that I think the way government's being run, it puts us in a really good place of flexibility. So locals just need to communicate with us, and we're doing that with them to where we get through all the impacts that you're going to get working yourself through this.
Governor, how important is it that we get this federal relief so that it can supplement the state's response during this emergency?
It's important because it brings things into bear when it comes to, excuse me, especially like uninsured homes, that part of it. And homeowners, if you've got insurance, you need to get with them right away. Underinsured and uninsured will be where that federal nexus comes in to help.
How soon can they get that relief?
It'll be quick because we got in the whole declaration and their involvement as quick as any type of disaster in this case. So, and we were working on that from day one, which would have been Wednesday, and knowing that here on Saturday is pretty quick. So that's good.
A question for Jonathan. As we work through the next 24 to 36 hours, talk about the priorities and top concerns you're going to have during that time frame, and then talk about how that's going to change once we get past this 24 or 36 hour period.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. We're still actively responding, as you can see behind me. So the next step, the next day, 2 days, is continue the response, make sure that life safety is our main priority. After that, we start the recovery process. That's going to look different in northwest Indiana than it is in east central and south eastern Indiana, because floods are very different than wind events. So this declaration that we're talking about today, this emergency declaration, is just going to expedite that response phase. So we're going to get to the recovery quicker. I'm very thankful to Governor Braun, to the President, for pushing this through with FEMA. It's not something that we see often, which means that we're very close to Indiana's worst day.
And
right?
the president reminded me of that when I spoke to him. So I think the good relationship there, it takes a certain threshold, and there is some subjectivity to it. So it was gratifying to see that we got it that quickly.
And typically, Indiana's able to bounce back on its own. We are very fortunate, as the governor mentioned, to have resources available. But this is taxing those resources. It's taxing our local responders and state officials. We want to bring in all hands on deck, as you've directed us to do, and do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. And you see that across the entire state. Everybody is working 24/7 in these local communities.
Before I take any more questions, you want to update them on getting people back with power in the Northwest. Because we started at how many homes without power?
Over 300,000 homes as of, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. We're down to, I'm looking at the number behind you, 157,000 outages statewide right now. Those are coming down. We've done something up in Northwest Indiana because of your direction that we've never done before. We're partnering state agencies with utilities, with NIPSCO. They're going out ahead of the utility to clear the way. So you've got right-of-ways that are blocked, you've got properties that are blocked, and so our teams from the Department of Correction, NDOT, DNR, they're going out ahead of that
And the
team.
National Guard.
And the National Guard, and clearing the way so that those utilities can get in faster and get power restored. We know that's the priority up in Northwest Indiana, and that's going extremely well from what I understand, that process. It is going to take time. We knew that. We knew it would take days at least, but it is moving forward as quickly as it can. And then as far as the flooding, again, that's an ongoing issue. That's going to continue for the next 24 hours at least, and then we'll start that recovery process next.
As far as the flooding, new normal, and if this is the new normal, we used to get these floods, every 30 years, now we're getting them every couple of years, then how does the state reprioritize or rethink its approach if this is going to become a regular thing every few years?
So if this starts to repeat itself in a way that you're dealing with it, that's what a rainy day fund's about. That's what making sure you have flexibility within your own state resources, and you'd plan accordingly. It's like living in Florida. They're dealing with hurricanes quite frequently. Insurance is handled differently there, and you've got to be prepared for it. So here, we'll have to keep an eye on that. And if it does become something we're dealing with, it's like anything else. You start adjusting for it, and then making sure that your state finances are in a place that can handle it.
So, Governor, speaking of insurance, what role will the Department of Insurance have to play when people start submitting claims and claims get rejected, back and forth?
So if you're having any issues with your own coverage there, and hopefully you're not, we want to know about it, because we'll elbow and, be doing some jawboning on it as well. But don't just get a hold of your insurance companies if you've got insurance and work through it. And then we're going to be here if there are any issues to deal with. So you won't be out there on your own.
Governor Mayer's, Noblesville's mayor said the White River crested at 26.4 feet today. He believes the worst is behind them. It crested, the previous record was, I think, 23.8. Do you believe the worst is behind us?
All we can do is go on the weather forecast, and when the ground's saturated like this, even though it's a dry time of the year normally, I think we got to hopefully not any more major storms like this come along, or else we'd have to deal with it to some extent again. The flooding part is something that's going to crest and get down the stream. The wind damage part of it up in the Northwest is maybe something more analogous to what a hurricane would do, because it's not just a strip, it's a broad area, and that's what they're dealing with up there, and that's why all the power outages were there. On the flooding side, though, it's devastating whenever it gets out of its banks, and then you're getting into the insurance issues, and of course people displaced, businesses out of business for a while. And we all empathize with them. Hearts go out to the folks that have to move out of their home where they never had a flood issue in decades. So that's why you have state resources there to help, and we'll be there.
Jonathan, do we have any totals on the human toll, how many lives have been lost, or is there even a ballpark figure on what this is going to cost the state of Indiana and individuals in the tens of millions more?
We do know of 5 fatalities that have been confirmed to be storm-related at this point. There are others that we're trying to confirm that may be tied to the storm, but at this point we have 5 fatalities that are directly tied to this event. And you're right, tens of millions of dollars is a low ballpark for what we're looking at, I think, here. This is a historic event for Indiana. We had the floods in 2008. That was the sort of previous record, or potentially previous record. I expect this to be a very extensive cleanup and recovery operation, almost statewide. That's why Governor Braun declared a statewide disaster emergency earlier this week. We know there's impacts all across the entire state from corner to corner. So it will take us weeks to really gather that detail, that level of detail on the total extent and the total damage, but that's the type of information we need to go the next step with FEMA, with another declaration request for additional opportunities for assistance for these disaster survivors. And we're going to do everything we can with state resources to get people back on their feet and apply for any federal assistance that may still be out there and available.
Jonathan,
The 5 fatalities, is that all flood-related? Does that also include fatalities from storms in northwest Indiana?
From northwest Indiana as well.
Okay.
So from this entire system this week, yes.
Jonathan, can you explain the importance of the Emergency Operations Center right now as all of this continues for days on end?
Yes, these folks behind us have been working, some of them on and off, all week. And this room during a crisis like this, during a disaster like this, is so important because everybody's in the same room talking. You have somebody who makes a request from a county, in northwest Indiana, for oxygen tanks. It's immediately tasked. It's immediately assigned to the right workstation back here, and then we find out how to get that asset or that resource out to the local communities. So the immediate communication and collaboration between all these agencies and partners is just incredible and incredibly important on days like today.
Governor, anything as you were surveying the damage, here, Northwest Indiana, just really got to you?
I think when I got up the northwest part, looking as we came up 65, and you could tell where it started, Hobart. And we went through one neighborhood where if you had trees in your neighborhood, it had actually taken like a dormer out, poked a big hole in it. And when you look in that home, it was on kind of every other block there was some damage. When we got to Cambridge City, the water had already receded. And, of course, that was then working its way down the watershed. And that's probably what's shocking to people in Anderson and Indy, because we didn't get the heaviest rains. There were about 3 counties that got anywhere from 6 to close to 12 inches of rain.
12 plus.
And if you're getting 12 inches of rain, there's only one consolation. Hopefully it's not in steep topography, because then you've got a disaster. And when you're getting it on the flat topography, it kind of spreads out, but you're never going to escape getting rid of 6 to 10 inches of rain in a short period of time. And then the surprise that you can have that much damage downstream, and you're going to have that if you've got population densities close to it. The only place where it seems like it wouldn't have much impact, and then farming, as tough as it is, it's been 3 to 4 tough years there, then you're gonna probably lose some of your crops. But it's always felt most where you've got people living near a river.
Yeah, for those of us who made it in a few minutes late, could you give us the dollar amount on federal aid that's been unlocked, when we're expecting to see it?
So the dollar amount we don't know exactly, but we're getting it unlocked, which puts us in a much better place, and in terms of what it can cover. And I just confirmed that with the president about 20 minutes ago. So that formality will be coming out soon.
Yeah, so how are residents who've been affected by the floods and the winds, how will they see the impacts of that aid, and how will they access it?
The immediate impact of this aid is for the response. So it will help with this room, it will help with local responders. What I would encourage residents who are impacted by this event to do is contact 211. Report that damage. If you have insurance, get in touch with your insurance company as quickly as possible. But 211 is where we want to start to gather those details about what do people need. That may be damage to your home. That may be that you just need food or shelter. 211 can help with all of those things. So that's what I would encourage impacted residents to do right now. But this initial emergency declaration that the governor has talked about will unlock, I believe, up to $5 million for the immediate response needs: debris removal, power restoration, road repairs, those types of things. So we're very fortunate to be in a position to have that additional resource coming into the state, and it will only help expedite this process.
And going forward, we'll give updates so you know what's going on. Probably do something early next week. But keep our fingers crossed that we're done with the worst of the weather and we can get at getting things cleaned up. So thanks for being here today, and good questions, and we'll keep working hard.
Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Thanks.
Age your technology.
This one yours.